Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm taking a look at, I'm doing a video in which I'm saying why I like Flatline. Flatline is an episode in Series 8 of Doctor Who, so not the previous series, but the series before that. Peter Capaldi's first series. And considering that, I've got notes over there, so if I look like I'm just looking at a book, that's why. As I got awesome feedback from a YouTuber called Harry's Moving Castle, from what I know of, or from what I remember of his name. Hopefully I've got that right. And yeah, definitely go check his channel out, as he does amazing reviews of the Doctor Who episodes, as I've sort of binge watched all of his Series 9 reviews of every episode from Series 9 of Doctor Who. So yeah, Flatline, what did I think of it? Well, I absolutely loved, one of the good points that I have in my notebook thing is the Doctor. The Doctor is superb in this, considering I think this is like episode 8 or something, I think, in the 8th series. It's between, I don't know which episode came before, because I think it was Mummy on the Orient Express, and then the next episode's in the Forest of the Night, which is dog shit in my opinion. But the Doctor, considering it's Peter Capaldi's first series, I think he is very established in this episode. He very much is the Doctor for me. You know, he's doing these mathematical like equations, he's being very scientifical, he's being very alien and being very arrogant and stubborn. Well, not even so much arrogant, but being very emotionally distant, you know. It's done in a way where it's sort of like it's kind of charming, you know, like how Tom Baker does it for me. Whereas with the 6th Doctor, I feel like he does it too sort of arrogantly, like it's too much for me anyway, personally. But yeah, the Doctor is superb in this. Peter Capaldi plays the part perfectly for me, you know. He's playing it 110% effort, you know. He's always saying the right things, and the humour he delivers is delivered well, you know, like in this very dry sort of way, where it's not like he's over-exaggerating the punchline or the funniness of it, with which Matt Smith kind of did quite a bit. Then again, that might have been the writer's fault or the director on the set, you know, saying, you know, you need to emphasise the punchline more, when actually maybe Matt didn't want to. But you know, again, I think he pushes the narrative forward and he just works. He is one of the strongest bits of this story. Another a good point is the cinematography in this story. It just works. The cinematography, you know, like if someone said to me, what's an episode of Doctor Who that looks good, I'd show them this story. It looks good. It's very simplistic where it's set, you know, but it as well is paced well. Like, it showcases a lot of different places, like interior of a house, the inside of the TARDIS, you know, the tunnel place where the train is, that room where Clara's spray painting the poster, the back of the poster thing, and spray paints, or Rigsy spray paints it into a door. Rigsy's character's really good, you know. He's one of the most developed side characters in this episode, and I really do adore his character in this, and he worked really well to push the narrative forward. I'd actually say I prefer him than Clara in this story. I do like Rigsy. Like, he's just, there's this likeableness to him, you know. He's a very simplistic character, but again, I think he sort of just works, you know, and he's just got this positive aura and positive vibe about him, you know, where Clara sort of just grates on me quite a bit in this story sometimes, you know, which is a bit odd, because all the other times I've watched it, many a time now, she hasn't grated on me, but maybe because I've watched it so many times, I've just sort of gone, okay, this is enough of her character now. But yeah, the cinematography, as I say, the shots and the way the sort of estate place looks and is shot, you know, the inside of that woman's house where PC Forrest gets killed, you know, that was really good. You know, again, the tunnel place, that was shot really nicely. So yeah, it does look aesthetically pleasing, even though it's one of the more simplistic stories because it's set on Earth. This and probably Father's Day are two of the best stories in the new series that are set on Earth anyway, in my opinion. Maybe as well, maybe the Zygon 2-parter, it's been a while since I've seen that one, but definitely Flatline and Father's Day for me are two of the best. Doctor Who episodes that are set on Earth, or contemporary Earth anyway. You know, modern time Earth. Another positive, last positive that I've got here is the Boneless. I love the Boneless. I adore them. They are the monster in this, and it could have been very easy for the writer Jamie Matheson, or however you pronounce his second name. It could have been very easy for him to have just said, okay, the Boneless are just going to be, you know, these 2D creatures that you see on the wall, which was very eerie and dark, and the way they kill PC Forrest is just superb, you know. And I do like how the Doctor says, you know, okay, they might just be learning this new way, and they're just, you know, experimenting, and I'll give them this chance, but then they keep killing, and he's like, nope, they're just being horrible aliens, and I have to defeat them. And I like that, you know, they weren't just good guys in the end. But no, to my original point, the writer could have easily just said, okay, I'm just going to leave them as these 2D monsters, but Moffat, I kind of want this other story in this next series, where the different monsters, if that makes sense, you know, where they're like 3D. You could argue the 3D ones don't get enough screen time, but at least we see the evolution of that monster, because as ironic as this is, they're a 2D monster and supposed to be originally one-dimensional. By the end, they're 3D, and they are very three-dimensional and fleshed out, as in, like, you know, you see that progression of them throughout the story, so they do feel like a fleshed-out monster, you know, whereas with, say, stuff like, I don't know, the Zygons or the Fisher King, for example, in Series 9, you see them sort of there, and then they do stuff, and they've got this intention, but it never goes into full fruition or full effect, you know, and you're kind of just left with them sort of, okay, here they are, they're doing this thing, they get defeated, that's it, you know? Whereas this just feels like such a more organic structure, and like the monster and the creature is both formidable and fleshed out and real. Like, it feels like it's a real growing alien life form that is learning and progressing throughout the narrative of the story, you know? And I think that would have been lost, as I say, if the monster would have just stayed 2D. As scary as that was when you saw them shivering down that wall, and then the graphics for when they, you know, take the door handle apart, and the bit where the sofa is like getting flattened down and stuff is phenomenal. Like, seriously, the CG there is for once very, very, very good. Like, for Doctor Who, it is superb, you know. And the same with the Boneless right at the end, you know, where those 3D zombie-like things and the faces shifting around and that, and they're just like, you know, and the like, you know, the graphics is all like distorted and jaded and jagged and that, and you know, they're all blurry and that, and it just, I love that, you know. Why? Because again, it just goes well with what the Doctor has, you know, been surmising about and theorising about in the TARDIS. You know, they are learning how to be 3D, and it just makes sense that they'd be all like shifting and shading about, you know, because they're not used to being in our three-dimensional space, you know. And they just feel so Doctor Who-like, you know. I can imagine them being in John Pertwee, Third Doctor, or Tom Baker, Fourth Doctor story, you know. They just work with Doctor Who, and I'm surprised they haven't appeared before, you know. They just fit with Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who, and then I think the Boneless, and the two just, you know, fit perfectly for me, you know. And I'm surprised, as I say, they've never been in since, or not since, but I'm surprised they've never been in the show before, because they just gel so well with what I think Doctor Who is and should be. I love the TARDIS going smaller and stuff along that line. That intrigued me very early on, you know. It grabbed my attention, you know, like when that guy dies, you know. There's a lot of darkness and eeriness to this story, but it's spread out throughout the story with bits of humour which don't detract from the darkness or the eeriness of it either. And again, I don't feel like for once the humour doesn't feel like it's shoehorned in there or in your face and like, you will laugh or I'll blow your brains out sort of thing. Fezzes are cool, bow ties are cool, like, well, sometimes that's funny, but after X amount of times Matt Smith saying that in one episode or the next episode and so on and so forth, it gets, you know, it grates on people. Now on to bad points, Clara, as I say, she could grate on me, you know, the way she was sort of, her attitude to everything and her sort of way she was just going about things, you know, like kind of cocky, very assertive, very dominant, like she knew what she was doing, and it kind of just annoyed me more than anything, you know. Considering we've got this Doctor, this 12th Doctor, who isn't, you know, doesn't suffer fools gladly, she kind of comes across, as I say, still very much like she can manipulate the Doctor or walk all over him and stuff like that. It made sense with the 11th Doctor because he was a lot more sort of kind and could be easily manipulated or walked all over, whereas Capaldi should be standing up for himself, and he does from time to time, but as I say, I just generally feel like because Capaldi's not there most of the time, she walks all over all the other characters and all the other side characters and stuff, and you know, and I don't like her being very assertive and dominant and prominent either in this story. I think she grates on me quite a lot, you know. Like, right at the beginning, you know, she's like, oh, but this is annoying, blah, 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 I'm not at home, blah, 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 we're X amount of place away from my house and my home, blah, 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 and all this. And then the Doctor's like, no, that's not annoying, this is annoying, you saying that and being all like that, my home is shrinking right now, you know, that's interesting, can you at least just let me have this interestingness and that. And as an audience member, I related to the Doctor more. I was like, oh my god, yeah, shut up, Clara, can you just let him have this, you know, this is interesting, you bitching and moaning about needing to be at home, that's annoying, you know. So she did grate on me quite a bit. And the fact that she lies to Danny again is annoying and stuff like that. You know, and again, it's odd because in the past I didn't mind her in this story, but I think she is the biggest problem in this story, for me anyway. The only other negative/bad point I've got here is undeveloped characters. Because aside from Rigsy and the Doctor, Clara and Rigsy, the other characters are very much one-dimensional and, yeah, don't really do anything. So I am happy that they die throughout the story, and that's good, but I just find it kind of boring because, you know, they're not characters that I'm emotionally invested in. So I'm like, oh, cool, you've died, that's cool and impactful and has made this an episode that's more intense than an episode without any death. I'm looking at you, Matt Smith era, but the thing is, again, it could be that more impactful and shocking if these characters had been developed. But yeah, I mean, it's 50-50 on that one. Like, it kind of bugs me, but not to the point where I really hate it. You know, I'm happy that there is some death. You know, because again, in Matt Smith's era, there are a whole bunch of episodes where no one dies and that, you know, and stuff like that, and so to see some death is just a reassurance really for me. Yeah, I think this is a very strong, very enjoyable, very unique, different, fun, fast-paced, but not too fast episode. I love the TARDIS being in siege mode. I just adore this story. You know, it's dark, but it's got some humour that doesn't take away from the darkness. It's got, you know, great cinematography, good characters in Rigsy and the Doctor, not so good characters with Clara, and the guy who's the head of the council bunch of people who are working there. You know, he was annoying, and the guy who was on the train, he was very underdeveloped and boring. But overall, I adore this story. Flatline, for me, I'd give Flatline a well-earned 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, and subscribe, and please do tell me in the comment section below what you think of Doctor Who's Flatline.